Welcome to Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse, a podcast exploring cult classics, subculture, and geek media. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dave.
And we will be your tour guides today for this deep dive of the Fast and Furious saga.
Yeah, we've got 9 movies to look at, maybe even 10 if you
10.
count Hobbs and Shaw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I actually watched 11 movies total and 2 shorts.
Yeah, and I think one of my takeaways from prep for this episode is that this entire saga is way too much for one person to absorb in a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's a little bit like if you go to Voodoo Donuts or any donut shop and you get a dozen donuts that you let them pick.
Oh, yeah.
And then proceed to eat all 12 donuts in a row.
God, I would die.
Yeah. And watching all 10 of these movies was a little bit like that. There was some real gems in there. And overall, I enjoyed it. But it was hard to choke down those last few donuts. Like, I really had to, force myself.
Yeah, I will admit, divers, after a certain amount of show prep, I literally just started putting off finishing it up. Mm-hmm. It was just so much. And I blame Nick entirely because I said, this is way too much. And he's like, but I'm already halfway through.
Well, and we wanted to do something special for our 1-year anniversary episode.
Yeah, so we chose this.
Yeah, because it's the biggest undertaking that we've ever undertook.
And that's true, but it also is single-handedly saving theaters.
Yeah. Well, I mean
Godzilla
vs. Kong saved theaters.
Well, I mean, sort of, but this is like crushing the box office, and it's an all right. The latest one, 9, is a decent movie in the series. It's a solid entry, but it's just going gangbusters. Like, people are turning out.
Yeah, it's. I won't bury the lead. This is not my favorite of the saga.
I don't think it's the best one.
No, it's low middle, probably.
I call it straight in the middle of the pack.
Straight in the middle of the pack?
Yeah, there are definitely worse ones here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a few worse than this one. Yeah.
There's some real dogs in this series.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to agree on which ones are the worst, though, because that's, I don't know.
Oh, you don't think? Well, I think... And I've poked around a bit more in ranking lists and stuff than I normally would because I don't like to cloud my judgment.
Yeah.
But mostly I wanted affirmation at the ones that I think are good or as good as I think they are.
Huh.
And I found it. I found sources to back me when I was like, actually, this is a pretty good movie. Let me go see what the internet says.
Yeah, I did a bit of YouTubing regarding this, watching reviews and stuff like that, and I found a lot of people who liked similar things to me. But ultimately, I really enjoyed looking at all the cars in these movies, and that's what these movies are about. It's just cars.
Well, and family.
Well, yeah, family. This movie's about family. Yeah. So. This has been a crazy summer, and we are just closing in on our year of doing this. So what have you been up to?
I've been up to actually have a couple cool geeky things that I've done recently.
Nice.
Record Store Day happened, I think, what was that, June 18th or something like that? Maybe the weekend before. It was the first drop of Record Store Day. As part of COVID precautions, they've been breaking up Record Store Day into multiple days instead of just one massive drop of records. But me and diver Corey and my buddy Ryan, we all went down and lined up outside 2nd Avenue Records and spent a stupid amount on new records the other day.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, got some cool stuff like the 2 really good Dio era Black Sabbath albums, Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell. Got cool picture discs of those.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
I assume reissues, right?
Yeah. This is all new, limited release stuff.
Store Day? Okay.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I also went to the first convention I've been to in forever, the Northwest Summer Con up in Puyallup, Washington.
What kind of con is that?
It's they say a comic and toy. It seems like it kind of grew out of a toy show and became a comic convention.
More like a bazaar and less like a Comic-Con with panels and stuff.
It is kind of like at a midpoint where it used to be a swap meet, but is transitioning into becoming a convention. And there was guests and there's panels and stuff, but it's still largely like a swap meet type environment.
Okay.
But like I got Peter David's autograph, and Liam Sharp, actually got them both to sign the same Hulk comic book, because Liam Sharp drew like 8 issues out of Peter David's giant multi-year run on the Hulk.
Nice.
And a big standout was Timothy Zahn was there.
Interesting.
And I picked up the first book of the new Thrawn books and got him to sign that. And he's a super cool guy. Like, he was very nice and very gracious. And you never know with like these old sci-fi writers, sometimes like they're very cranky and
sure,
not into this, but he was super nice and was happy to be out after a year kind of not doing conventions and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like there's definitely it's like a coin flip. Either they're like a chill dude that you probably would like see at a microbrewery and he's like laid back, or they have shitty boomer syndrome.
Oh yeah. And so he did not seem like that at all. Like, he was very interested in chatting with people and being a cool older guy.
Nice.
And, like I always say, it's like there's a lot of Star Wars books and he wrote the good ones.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, there were a few other authors that had their moment in Star Wars, but he's kind of known for that doing big things there.
Mm-hmm. Like, he wrote the stuff that gets brought into the real canon. Like, all the stuff
we're
Thrawn.
We're gonna have Thrawn in a live action series, so that'll be really cool.
That'll be very cool. What about you? What have you been up to?
I haven't been doing a ton of stuff. The summer weather's been super intense, so it's been keeping me inside quite a lot.
Yeah, we had a heat dome.
Yeah, it was nuts. And so I've been staying home working on my own nerdy projects, doing some writing and working on a website. But, for me, the biggest occurrence recently was watching the Disc Golf World Championships, which I watched live. And it was pretty crazy because there was one special shot by James Conrad that made the #1 on the ESPN Sports Center, which is pretty huge for a small sport to do that, and where he did a 256-foot throw-in to force a playoff and win the world championship. It was like super clutch move, but I posted all my predictions before the tournament, and he was my dark horse that I was like, if I could just pick the winner based on who I really wanted to win, this is the guy. Funny enough, though, Carrie correctly picked both divisions. She's like an oracle for this. So I won't bore everybody with that, because if you saw the holy shot, as they're calling it,
because this is the guy he's called Disc Jesus.
Yeah, because he's like a tall, thin guy with long brown hair. And he's really chill and relaxed and super nice. So yeah, they call him Disc Golf Jesus, and so they call it Holy. His initials are JC.
Okay,
James Conrad. So
yeah,
they call it the Holy Shot. If you've seen it, you've seen it. If you haven't, go check it out on YouTube. It's probably the most clutch disc golf shot ever. Well, not probably, literally is. Like, the greatest player of all time said, "Yeah, that was the best shot ever thrown." So there you go.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. So what are we drinking here? What's the podcast fuel?
The podcast fuel, in the very first movie, Dom says to Brian, "You can have any drink you want as long as it's Corona."
I love that party scene.
Yeah, when he takes Vince's beer from him and gives it to Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dom is actually kind of a toxic patriarch at the beginning of the series.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's no good.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. What in Corona would be too off-brand for us, but in tribute to that, I got the most interesting lager in the world from Ex Novo Brewing, which is their Mexican lager.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's just like you imagine a Mexican lager to be, 5% ABV, 15 IBUs. It's got a hint of flaked corn, and we put limes in it to create the whole vibe, and it tastes just like what you want it to.
Yeah, this isn't a Corona, which tastes watery. This is definitely flavorful and it's really good. This is definitely a summer beer. So I don't know if I'd pick this up for myself in general, but it's festive. This would be like perfect for a barbecue.
Yes, this is definitely a barbecue beer.
Like happens at the end of every movie.
Yeah.
All right, well that sounds good to me. So let's go ahead and take a break, and then we will jump into this marathon session.
Welcome back, divers. Let's get right into this. First up, The Fast and the Furious, 2001, directed by Rob Cohen.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is gonna be your pirate ship, man.
Okay. So my synopsis.
No. This is your submarine, man.
Don't hang me on this submarine. This is my 1970s Dodge Charger.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
LAPD officer Brian O'Connor goes undercover in the world of illegal street racing to find the criminals responsible for a string of electronic shipment robberies. When he meets prime suspect Dominic Toretto, he finds cinema's greatest bromance, as well as the ones responsible for the robberies.
Wow, is this the greatest bromance?
I think so, because it's not just in the movies, it's real life. Like, the two guys really were best friends.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's the greatest bromance.
Well, I think this movie it stands strong as a street racing movie and kind of a crime caper movie. It's a super tried and true trope of the undercover cop going native. You know, it's got of course Point Break, it's got Donnie Brasco, it's got any of those movies where the undercover cop goes native. This is definitely that.
I think particularly it owes a lot to Point Break. Probably more to Point Break than it owes to the movie it took its title from. I watched for the first time the 1954 The Fast and the Furious. And other than some themes like vigilante truckers and the general setting of the Coachella Desert, it has nothing to do with that movie other than the title. And that totally makes sense because this movie was all mostly written before they decided to license that name from Roger Corman. It was originally, I think the working title was Red Line.
Okay, that's pretty terrible.
Yeah, so The Fast and the Furious pops a lot more, and just before this movie came out, there was that Gone in 60 Seconds with Nick Cage.
Nick Cage, yeah. And that was actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, and...
Didn't that have, like, Giovanni Ribisi in it, too?
And Angelina Jolie, I think,
even. That was a good movie.
And it did the same thing where it took a name from a 1950s juvenile delinquent movie.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, that worked for them. Let's license a name from an old movie for this one. And I think it worked. It hooks you. It's got something. It's got something to it.
So we're going to give a rating to every single movie here. And we're both going to choose our favorite car from the movie. And I also have the dumbest line from every movie, courtesy of Donut Media, their D-List show on YouTube. I watched theirs. They have like a 30-40 minute episode where they just go through the 5 dumbest lines from every movie. I cherry picked the very best ones for us. So
for each movie or just overall the best ones?
Oh no, each movie.
Okay,
each movie.
You've got a dumb line for each one.
Thank you to Donut Media. So let's go ahead with our ratings first, and then we'll choose our cars, and then we'll look at the lame lines.
Okay, this is a 4-star movie. I mean, I don't have any doubt about it.
Okay, yeah, I actually also rated it 4-star movie. This is one of the better ones in the series. I don't think it's the best, but I think it's very good.
Yeah,
I gave it the bonus 1 because I think many of these are 3-star movies.
This is a 4+?
No, this would have been a 3+, but I actually think it was good enough to be a 4 standalone because it started a franchise. It rebooted. It used an old name, but it really started a franchise, and it's become like a movement. If you add up the movie that the money that all these movies have made, it's ridiculous.
For sure.
Like Vin Diesel can do anything he wants. Like make art films. He could just act Shakespeare on the stage for the rest of his career.
He should direct more. I'll come out and just say this. I think Vin Diesel should do more directing. He directed at least one feature-length film, and then he did the short that's the prequel to Fast and Furious, Los Bandoleros. And it's good. He's got an eye. And I think, like, The Rock is this generation's Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And Vin Diesel is the Stallone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. And I think, Vin Diesel has a talent as a filmmaker that he's not using enough.
It's funny because of the older generation ones, I'm more of a Schwarzenegger fan. I liked his movies better, like Predator and whatnot. But of this generation, I'm way more Vin Diesel than The Rock. As far as the movies go, he just makes cooler movies to me.
Stallone kind of blew his load early, like his Rocky and
Rambo.
First Blood.
Yeah,
Rocky and First Blood are just like exceptional movies, and he did them right out the gate. And then he rode on the coattails of his own, of himself, basically, from then on out. So should we move on to the next one?
No.
No.
What's your coolest car, man?
It's obvious in this one. It's the 70 Charger. It's the hero car of the whole series.
So I was going to choose the 70 Charger because it debuted in this movie. But the thing is, it's in every movie. So I strategically decided
I was deploy it later.
I was going to wait until I couldn't find a car that I loved in a movie and choose it in that movie. So I choose the Charger later. So I'm not going to naysay your choice. I chose the 1995 green Mitsubishi Eclipse, Brian's car.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
I thought that car was really hot. And back in the day, I remember in the 90s, those Eclipses were super rad. I really wanted one. I'm a fan of Japanese cars, Japanese speed. And so I really wanted one of those cars. So when I saw that totally tricked out Eclipse, I was super into it.
I have runner-up cars for all of them, and I'm not going to bog us down with doing 3 cars because it's excessive.
That might be
but I'm always interested if I don't think we'll pick the same car, but if my runners-up ever match up with yours. That one didn't.
No, you like the Supra better? Is that?
Oh no, the Jetta and the Chevelle. Those are my.
That's funny. Interesting.
My 2. I love those 90s Jettas.
I don't know. There's just little boxes.
That's what I like about them.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate a boxy car. Okay, so we got some dumb lines here, and I actually couldn't pick, so I have a tie here. There's only a couple of ties. So the first one is an exchange. Is an exchange between what's his name, Vince and Brian, and he goes, "Bullshit! Nobody likes the tuna here." well, I do. Okay, that is the garbage line of this movie. And
hold on, while you're highlighting that scene, because I have my regular what worked and what didn't work for me.
Oh, okay.
I just want to get one of my what didn't work. The casual homophobia and sexism in this movie. Because right after that bullshit, no one likes the tuna here, Vince goes ahead and drops a F-bomb on Brian, and not fuck, the F-bomb that I won't say.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, ooh,
yeah,
ouch.
it was super cringy, and I already didn't like Vince. I already thought Vince was a dick. Okay, so the other one, and this was probably the one I liked the best because I like the way... it's almost a tie between who delivers a shitty line better, The Rock or Vin Diesel. This is a Vin Diesel one.
Yeah, they both specialize.
Yeah, he's chiding Brian. He goes, "Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should." Oh man, that was just so good.
When he said that, I did have sort of this like mental note to myself: look up granny shifting. What does that mean? Because I'm not a car guy exactly. So I still don't know what granny shifting is because I didn't look it up.
It's like shifting like you would normally shift a car. It's not doing the double clutching, doing it twice.
So explain double clutching while we're here.
I'm the wrong guy. I don't even prefer manuals. I can drive them. I had to in the Army. I don't even prefer them. And I know Chris is out there like, ugh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. There's always those dudes because there's a reason that every Ferrari and Lambo now only has an automatic. They're just better.
So, in the Army, you're driving with just Humvees?
Well, those are automatic, but I had to drive deuce and a half.
Okay.
Trucks, big trucks.
So is the stick down all the way to the floor?
Yeah, all the way to the floor. It's a
See,
big
those are
old
the
stick.
best because I'm terrible at driving a manual car, but I'll drive the shit out of a big truck.
Yeah.
Because those are big gears, big sloppy gears.
Oh,
It's
and
easy to knock into.
You get that big satisfying chunk.
I feel like you did something.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the next one, which was Too Fast, Too Furious.
2003, directed by John Singleton. And I literally, when the movie ended and it said a John Singleton film, I went, John Singleton directed this? All right, R.I.P. John Singleton. We remember you for Boys in the Hood. We don't remember you for this movie.
Yeah. I mean, this one wasn't too bad, really.
It's not too bad, but there's a reason it was the last one I'd seen.
All right.
So, synopsis. Now a fugitive from justice because of aiding and abetting his target's escape, Brian O'Connor is laying low in Miami in the underground street racing scene. This turns out to be a terrible place to evade law enforcement, and he's quickly picked up and press ganged by the feds into going undercover again, this time to get the goods on a local drug lord. Dominic Toretto being unavailable on account of battling necromongers on the planet of Helium Prime. Brian enlists childhood frenemy Roman Pierce as his partner in exchange for getting both of their records wiped clean.
Yeah, this movie I kind of summed up on my own, which was like, they made a movie about Brian. What the fuck? Why not make a movie about Dominic? Which, of course, we get that later.
Yeah.
His backstory. But I was just like, I like Roman. I like Tyrese. He's the comic relief in this whole series.
Tyrese brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, he's great. But I was just like, man, they should not have made a sequel without Vin Diesel.
The thing I do like, I really like the chemistry between Tyrese and Brian. Paul Walker?
Yeah.
And the way Paul Walker does that thing where it really seems like they're childhood friends because he reverts to childish behavior when he's with Roman. Like they start wrestling and stuff. And it was very believable as like guys that knew each other in middle school coming together as adults and still kind of acting like kids. And so that's something I actually really like about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the acting was pretty good. I definitely thought that this was one of the more mediocre movies in this series. It had a really simplistic plot line. I mean, they all do. But it did have some sweet cars in it. I just feel like this was a skippable one, Divers. You don't have to watch this one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I used to think Tokyo Drift was the skippable one, but now I'm kind of leaning towards this one.
I think they're both skippable. Your instincts were right.
All right. Cerveza number 2.
All right. So what's your rating here? Because I guess we're gonna do ratings and then cars.
It is, for me, this one is a 2-star. It's a high 2-star because I think it's a very it's a fun 2-star movie, but it is pretty forgettable. And there was a reason I just didn't keep going. Like this was where I checked out of the series, and everything beyond this is new to me within the last 3 weeks.
Okay, yeah, I should have said that in the beginning. I saw pretty much all of these in the theater as they came out. None of them were new to me. There might have been one in the middle that I missed, but I pretty much saw them all as they came out. And so I remember this one coming out, and I didn't really think much of it at the time. And in rewatching it, it wasn't that good. I was debating between a 2 and a 3, and I was really torn. But, I think it really is a 2-star movie. It's just not that good.
There's a lot of things working against it. The female characters have nothing.
I mean, there's
nothing
no
to do.
female characters. There's female set dressing.
Eva Mendes, at least she has some lines, and Devon Aoki is just a caricature of a character. Like she's hot Japanese girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that stuff it makes it tacky. And Cole Hauser playing an Argentinian drug lord, it's like that guy was a white neo-Nazi in Higher Learning, and that suits his genetics a little more than the Latino drug lord.
Yeah, I think at this time when these were being made, Hollywood was way less interested in having people of color play people of color. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that there's definitely some dating on this. So I guess, what is your favorite car here? I think I know.
It's Roman's orange 70 Dodge Challenger.
Oh, okay. So I was wrong.
You were way off.
I was wrong because I chose, and I thought you would choose, the 1999 gray and blue Nissan Skyline R34.
It's my runner-up.
That is my favorite car in this movie. I love a Skyline. They're so good. It's hard not to pick a Skyline every time they're in a movie.
Yes. So in retrospect, I probably should have. At this point, I was just kind of following my gut, and I'm always drawn to orange cars. I like
orange as well.
A few orange cars get the nod from me across this list, and I didn't realize that every single movie was going to have a Hero Dodge car.
I think it might be a sponsorship.
Yeah, I think so. And I just kind of discovered that about myself, that I guess I'm a Mopar enthusiast.
Yeah, I mean, I like those old Dodges a lot. I mean, even new stuff is pretty cool too. And so I can't really fault you for choosing those cars. Mm-hmm. They're easy to like. So here's the dumbest line. And this one was actually dumb because the delivery was so utterly bad and so completely out of context. It was delivered by Tyrese, who very clearly has never watched the Happy Days. He does not know who Henry Winkler is.
Right.
And he does not know who the Fonz is. So the writers and the directors failed to correct him in the delivery of this line. So he delivers it like this. Hey, real funny, Fonzie. And it's so cardboard and horrible because he doesn't understand
who Fonzie is.
That hey is the thing. It's like it's supposed to be a Fonzie parody line, and he delivers it so bad. Now this isn't actually that bad of a line. It's just really bad acting. And most of the lines on this are better. Most of the dumb lines on this are better than this, but it just turns out Too Fast, Too Furious. There wasn't a lot of acting going on. It was mostly basic communication and then action scenes.
Again, it just gets by on the chemistry between the two guys and cool cars. And there's some really like bad CG in this, like because they do some gonzo car stunts, like impossible car stunts, and it looks really bad. And so, yeah.
So, I mean, it's a 2-star movie.
But we get Tyrese and Ludacris.
That's true.
So, they're a major part going forward. So, that's good.
And Ludacris's character is one of my favorite ones in the whole series. He's awesome.
It's really cool to watch his development because he actually becomes a pretty decent actor, I think, by now.
Oh, yeah. I think by the 9th movie, he's great. Like, he's awesome. Okay, so I guess it comes out of order. Tokyo Drift was published next. It was the third movie published, even though chronologically it's way later.
Yeah, so that's what you have next on your list?
Yeah, that's what I have next. I have Tokyo Drift.
I will just skip ahead to Tokyo Drift in my notes, and here we go.
Yeah, go ahead and summarize it.
But Fast and the Furious, it's still got the thes in it. We haven't dropped those yet. The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. 2006, directed by Justin Lin. This is when Justin Lin enters the frame, and he basically steers this franchise from here on out. Okay. So Sean, a knucklehead teenage street racer, inexplicably played by a 25-year-old man, gets sent to live with his Navy officer dad in Japan to keep him out of trouble. Morgan Freeman voice, but Sean didn't stay out of trouble. Sean ends up getting wrapped up in the world of underground street racing. Trouble with the Yakuza obviously ensues, and Sean needs to learn the mysterious art of drifting from Han to get out of it.
Yeah, this Okay. So the second movie, they got rid of Dom, and in the third one, they have nobody you like. Mm-hmm. They introduced new characters. Like, I will say, I really like Han. He's great. Yeah. He's one of my favorites. But holy crap, this main character is just unlikable. He's not good.
So, of all of these movies, this is the only one that I would say falls in that cult classic category, because this does have a cult following. Like for the
Drift Kids.
Yeah, the JDM sort of Japanese car enthusiasts, this is the only movie that matters in the franchise. So
I just don't recommend watching this one if you are if you just want to get the goods.
Mm-hmm. Even though all these guys, they showed up in the new one.
I mean, there was a cameo of the guy, the teenage street racer, and Han comes back, and that's cool. But yeah. I mean, I think you can skip it.
I do too. It's mostly skippable. I'm not a skipper in general. No. I watch everything.
I'm a skipper.
Yeah. This, if someone was like 10 movies, that's too many. And I'd be like, watch the first one, then 4, 5, 6, and then it's up to you if you watch anything else.
Okay. I mean,
kind of to give away the goods on how things are going to get rated.
So what do you rate this one?
This is another 2.
Yeah, this is another 2. This is one of the worst ones. I was really surprised that the second and third movies were so bad, and they still made another one after that.
You know what? Because we're shitting on this, and people do really appreciate this movie, so I want to call it things that I did like about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Surprising amount of on-location shooting in Japan. They really went to Tokyo. That's probably where a lot of the budget went.
I don't think they could have done a movie about Tokyo drifting and not go to Tokyo.
Yeah, I don't think Fast 9 went to Tokyo.
It's not a movie called. It's not called Fast 9 Tokyo.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like it's in the title.
But they really went to Tokyo, and that helps. And I think they showed real fidelity to that scene, to the Tokyo car culture or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they actually even had the actual Drift King, this guy Keiichi Tsuchiya, who was a car racer from Japan who was known as the Drift King. Mm-hmm. And so that's good. Sony Chiba was in it. He's another big Japanese actor, especially he was in the Street Fighter series in the 70s. And he's Hattori Hanzo in the Kill Bill movies.
Okay.
And it's got a pretty good soundtrack. So those are
sort of I guess saving graces, but still,
they're the reasons why it's a cult classic, but it doesn't make it a good film.
Sure. Okay, so what's your favorite car?
Han's 97 Mazda RX-7.
In orange and black. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite one too.
Ooh, that's a nice car.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like those 90s Mazdas. Those are just sweet cars.
Yeah, I'm a Mazda driver. I come from a Mazda family. We've had multiple Mazdas throughout my life. It's a shame when Jason Statham blows that car up.
Yeah, it is. It really is a shame. And I really like that car. All right, so the dumbest line, and this was, I've got 2 of them here. One because it was just so bad, and then the other one because it was just so cheesy. Okay. So the bad one is when they're talking about racing for pink slips and whatnot, and the girl goes, "Winner gets me." And I was like, ugh, gross. You suck, writers. I can't believe you had an actress say that. That's demeaning.
It's something that comes up again and again in my What Didn't Work, but how sexist these movies are. And there is a turning point, and I'll shout it out when we get there. Mm-hmm. But at this point, the way women are treated in these movies is terrible.
Yeah, and so that was my terrible line, but the actual just cheesy one, he goes, "No past, no future, no problems." Yeah, just a cheesy ass line. Yeah. And that one's it's kind of fun because it's it's very, it's like the whole I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing.
And we should mention, so there's a like a post credits or a mid credits stinger on this one. Mm-hmm. And there was a stinger on the first movie. There wasn't one on the second one. And Vin Diesel comes back for the stinger.
Oh, okay.
And so that was, kind of the signaling of him coming back into the franchise. And do you know what he got paid for doing that?
No.
He got paid the rights to the character Riddick.
Oh, wow.
That's what he wanted from Universal to come in and do that cameo, was ownership of Riddick.
Wow, so he owns it.
Yep.
That's
his
cool.
That's his baby.
That's awesome.
So that third Riddick movie, that's all him. He's I mean, that one didn't do very good, but he collected all that money.
So the next movie is just called Fast and Furious. It's kind of a reboot of the series, I guess.
Yeah, this is where the train gets back on the tracks. 2009, director Justin Lin comes back.
This is where you start watching again. Watch the first one and then come back for this one.
Yeah. It's like basically do that, and if you really like this one, you can watch the other two.
I just think if Vin Diesel's not in it, don't watch it.
Oh, but he has the stinger in Tokyo Drift.
That doesn't count.
So Letty's apparent murder brings Dom back to the States. He has been playing Padrino to the Los Bandoleros in the Dominican Republic. Tracking down her murderer puts him on a collision course with the inexplicably reinstated FBI agent Brian O'Connor. To get close to their target, they, of course, have to infiltrate the world of underground street racing.
I mean, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. And we should say every one of these movies up until this point and continuing on has had a street racing party with a slow motion butt shot.
Okay.
Every single one of them, and the newest one is the first one that didn't have it.
Wow. That's crazy.
Even Hobbs and Shaw has one of those scenes. So
I noticed some weird things in this movie. Gal Gadot is in it.
Yep.
That's
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. And I like I just like that Dom is back, and I mean he gets arrested at the end, and it's crazy. It's just this one was a lot more fun than the last two. The last two were a little bit disappointing. So I guess I rated this movie as a 3. It's not quite as good as it's not good enough to be a 4, but it's a strong 3. It's a good, fun action car movie.
Yes, I am 100%. I'm on board with that. I also rate this one a 3, but it's a very strong 3. And this is where it becomes the franchise that you think of as Fast and Furious. This is where that starts. And yeah, this movie is a blast, and the cast expands, like you said. Gal Gadot joins, and I really love her. And
is it Gadot or Gadot?
It's Gadot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not French.
I've heard media say it like that.
Because everyone thinks when you got a T at the end of your name, it's French, and then you say Godot, but it is not Godot.
Israeli. So.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I mean, so we both gave it a 3, and I think rightly so. What was your coolest car?
Han's 1967 Chevy C10 truck that they use in the gas heist at the beginning.
That was a pretty cool car, and I actually I feel like the trucks the trucks get short shrift in a lot of these movies because they do choose some cool trucks. But I couldn't choose that. I had to choose the 2009 Subaru Impreza WRX STI in black.
Yeah,
that car was sick.
That was my honorable mention, or one of them. And yeah, I know, surprising myself, no Subaru made the top spot.
Oh, I have multiple Subarus.
Yeah, I've got this is where I think a lot of my runner up are going to be your top slot.
Yeah, I love Subarus. I drive a Subaru. So
Subaru gave them a ton of cars, not for this one, but I think for 7, Subaru gave them like 10 Imprezas to destroy.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's car companies should want to be in these movies.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure Dodge pays them a ton of
Dodge is in every movie, big time.
All right, so what are the cheesy lines?
So the dumbest line is just a Dom line, he looks over with a shit-eating grin and he goes, 20% angel, 80% devil. Just really stupid.
It's amazing. Only Vin Diesel can say some of this stuff, like, because it's so terrible. But he is actually like a good enough actor to deliver it with sincerity.
That's one thing that I think people are wrong about. Is I think a lot of people think of Vin Diesel as just a musclehead action guy, and he is a musclehead action guy, but he also is a good actor. Like,
yeah.
he can really do those scenes that require like you to believe that he's feeling emotions and things, and he's really good at nonverbal acting.
Yeah.
He's excellent, and I think people underrate him in a big way.
Yeah, and him and Paul Walker and him and Michelle Rodriguez, the real life friendship and chemistry between them just comes through, and like they're all like just electric when they're on screen together.
Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez is one of the best actors in this series. She's really good.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things I watched when watching The Fast and the Furious. I totally had a huge crush on her at that time, and then she comes on screen and it's like, oh yeah, I still feel that way. She's still she's still amazing.
Yeah, she's still awesome. Okay, so that movie's done. Next we have they're getting with quick titles now. Fast 5.
Fast 5, aka Fast and Furious 5: Rio Heist. That's the British title.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of these movies have an American and an international title. Like I think in Japan the series is called Wild Speed instead of Fast and the Furious.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, so this is returning Justin Lin, 2009. Picking up where the previous film ended, the Fast fam busts Dom out of jail and goes into hiding in South America. They reunite with OG Fast alum Vince in Rio de Janeiro, and when a train heist goes bad, they quickly run afoul of local crime boss. Dom and Brian bring together a franchise greatest hits of friends to help rob a vault of cash, all while being hunted by the new to the series Agent Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oh, and Mia is pregnant.
Yeah. So this one is kind of interesting in that, first of all, we get The Rock. So we get some big star power added to this series. But also, I feel like this was one of the ones where they just decided car racing is no longer enough. We have to go utterly gonzo with this. I remember when I was watching this in the theater, when they have those Chargers and they steal the bank vault and they're pulling it through the streets with matching cars. I was like, oh my God, this is not even about car racing anymore. This is about car stunts. This is nuts.
Yeah, so that's something kind of the studio wanted to get away from the car racing thing and become more of like an Ocean's 11 heist movie thing.
Yeah, and this was actually multiple heists. This opens on a heist. And this was actually a really fun movie. I actually considered this to be one of the best ones in the series. In
general, this is considered the best movie in the series. If you look at lists and stuff.
I have this one actually tied. It's hard. I would probably put this as the top. I rated this as a 4-star movie.
So did I.
It's right there with the first one. This one's actually a slightly better movie, but I give a little bit of cred to the first one for starting the whole ball rolling.
Definitely. We're on the same page.
This is a great movie. So you also gave it a 4?
I also gave it a 4. It's undeniable. The Rock really brings something when he joins this cast.
Yeah, there's definitely something special about this one where it's not tired anymore. It's not tired at all, like having The Rock in these movies, which it gets tired later.
Yeah, on. There was a whole. He did a whole bit on SNL where he sang a song called "Franchise Viagra" about how you bring The Rock into your franchise.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it was like he really is franchise Viagra. He really like reinvigorated it.
And and
Gal Gadot comes back in this one, and I love the relationship with her and Han. Like, that's the spin-off movie that I wish we had instead of Hobbs and Shaw. I'd rather have Giselle and Han.
Yeah, but those two actors are still around. We still could get it.
Oh, fingers crossed. Universal, I know the high up execs at Universal Studios.
They're all divers.
They're all divers. This is what we want, Universal.
All right. So, what was your coolest car? This is a hard one because in the initial car heist, they have like a million amazeballs cars.
Yes. I went way off and I did Hobbs Gurkha LAPV. This massive, like, one-off military assault vehicle that he drives.
So I looked at that and I even considered it, but I could not betray my love for that 1965 Ford GT40.
Ooh, you went with that one. That's a nice car.
That car, I love those cars. I love the Ford GT40s, and then when they made the GTs, they just called it the GT later on, essentially a reboot of the car. Those are just so amazing, and you just can't get them. They're millionaires can get them, but regular folks can't.
And that's one of those car. That's one of those three cars that they're stealing from them.
Yeah. That was my favorite car in this movie. It's one of my favorite cars in the whole franchise. It's amazing.
Since there's that silver Corvette Stingray that they're stealing too.
That's really cool.
That's a beautiful car. Yeah. All those cars from that robbery were great.
So here's the dumbest line, and this is where The Rock takes the reins. He says, "To catch wolves, you need wolves. Let's hunt." It's so dumb.
Yeah. But he also has that classic line where he gets off the plane and he says to put on your Thunder pants.
Oh yeah. That was in Donut Media's list. Put on your Thunder pants. Yeah. That made their list, but I liked this let's hunt.
And he's actually corrected people on Twitter when they quote that wrong and say Thunder pants. And he says, actually it's Thunder pants, and he'll come and correct you.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that movie, that line was really good. I appreciate The Rock. So the next one, it seems like it has a half a dozen titles, but I thought it was called Furious 6.
Yes. I have it written down as Fast and Furious 6, but I think it is, like you said, there's multiple titles to all these movies. So this is 2013, again directed by Justin Lin, and this is the conclusion of what they call the second trilogy.
Oh,
I know, this is such a weird franchise. When Letty, who was previously declared dead, is sighted working with a team of mercenary drivers in Europe, Agent Luke Hobbs tracks down Dominic Toretto to enlist the Fast Fam in helping take down Owen Shaw and his crew.
Yeah, and this is basically, I mean, you could just summarize this one where it's like, oh yeah, this is the one where Letty's a bad guy. And we get Jason Statham.
It's so no.
Oh no, that's the next one. My bad.
Yeah, it's Luke Evans. It's the other Shaw brother. This is where it occurred to me what a soap opera this is. Like it relies heavily on soap opera tropes, like the whole amnesia thing.
Oh yeah.
Like she's not really dead, but she has amnesia is a very like Days of Our Lives kind of thing.
This is a 100% soap opera plot.
Yeah,
and I mean this movie's all right. It's fun. I like The Rock in this movie, and I really like Letty as a bad guy. There are some great cars ultimately, but this is a 3-star movie.
We got our first disagreement.
Oh man,
this is my favorite movie in the whole series.
Turns out you're wrong. Fast 5 is better.
Well, maybe technically, but to me, this is a 4-star movie, and this is the peak of the whole series.
It doesn't even have Jason Statham in it.
He's in the stinger. He's in the stinger at the end. No, I love this one, and this was actually I have it on my list. This is the movie where the girls finally have a part to play in it. It's the first one where they're like a real part of the story, and I really, I like you said, Gal Gadot as Giselle. We have Gina Carano before she decided to throw her career away.
Yeah.
And I like this one a lot. I think I love peak fast.
I love the part basically where they fight a tank. That's awesome. And they also race an airplane, which is awesome. But this movie, it was just all right. It wasn't as good as the last one. I can't say that this is one of the peak good ones.
If this had been the end of the series, I would have been like, they retired as champions.
Okay. I mean, I would have been okay with that. But
I almost, like, it didn't quite get me there, but I almost rolled a tear when Giselle dies, saving Han. I was like, I felt something there. Like, that really got to me. This is my favorite of the whole series. What's your favorite car?
I chose Hobbs's Navistar MXT, the big, huge, gnarly truck that he drives. I feel like the trucks in this are not. They're definitely underrated. I also love that truck is in like battleship gray. I always love that. It makes it look just so like utilitarian, kind of like a brutalist vibe. It's just awesome. So I chose that big truck.
Yeah, Hobbs always has some sort of monster truck. That's his deal, and they're always cool. They're always very cool. Mine is Dom's Dodge Daytona race car that he has for that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's got that just ridiculous huge spoiler on it, and it's like kind of like oxblood colored.
Yeah, you don't seem to favor the Japanese cars that much.
No, I'm Mopar all the way. I almost always pick a Dodge or Jeep vehicle in every single one.
All right, so we got the dumbest line in this movie, and this one was I had to choose this one because I feel like this is a sort of line that has probably been said by every brother-in-law ever.
Okay.
And Dom, or not every brother-in-law, every cheesy ass brother-in-law. He says, "You're gonna be a great father, Brian, because I'll be there to kick your ass if you ain't." And I was like, oh God, you couldn't just be cool. You had to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to. That's how men communicate with each other.
That's true.
You always have to undercut emotional moments with threats of violence.
Couldn't be like, you're gonna be a great father, Brian, because you have love in your heart and you treat people the right way. That wouldn't have worked.
That wouldn't have worked. That's not what this series is. At least not yet.
Oh man!
And so chronologically, this is where Tokyo Drift happens.
Yeah,
next.
right now because enter Jason Statham for Fast and Furious 7
or Furious 7.
Yeah, I mean they have names.
Multiple titles. So 2015, directed by James Wan. So we had a stinger at the end of the last movie where we see a recreation of Han's death from Tokyo Drift, but now it's got the transporter shows up afterwards to take credit for it.
Yeah.
So Deckard Shaw wants revenge on the Fast fam for leaving his brother in a coma. He starts by apparently killing Han and then blowing up the Toretto home. So then Dom wants revenge on Shaw for that, leading to the Fast fam getting recruited by some Nick Fury-esque government spook called Mr. Nobody. His agency will help them find Shaw if they help him find a hacker named Ramsey, who develops some sort of very Orwellian surveillance system.
Yeah, this one, they really go deep into that whole, like, they get deep into this, like, spy government nonsense. It's no longer what I would call, like, lighthearted fiction stuff. I mean, we do have some really cool things where we have skydiving cars. Yeah, that's cool. We have Ronda Rousey in the fight scenes in the skyscrapers.
Total beast mode. This is Ronda Rousey at like peak Ronda Rousey.
Height, yeah. And then we have, of course, jumping between skyscrapers, not once, but twice in a supercar.
It definitely is where things start going the most OTP, like the most over the...
And I'm into my second one.
Wait, OTP, that's not the right word. OTT, over the top.
Nobody says OTT.
I've heard people say it.
In speech.
in speech. Millennials? Is it millennials that say it?
You can't blame everything on millennials,
No.
dude.
I'm on record. I love millennials.
Yeah. Nick's a millennial lover, even though we're both Gen Xers.
Mm-hmm. I'm a Zoomer lover. It's the earlier generations I have a problem
that's
with.
true. I work with Zoomers. I love them. They're hilarious.
Yeah. So it's so over the top. I thought that the kind of send off to Paul Walker, I think, is legit. Like, gives you the feels. You can tell they care about this guy. Like, he's really their buddy. And especially if you watch like the bonus features on the DVD, they're legit. Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez, especially coming from the first movie, like they're legit emotional about losing their friend.
I do want to address that there was a lot of controversy surrounding the glorification of Paul Walker here, because there were some serious accusations against him about like grooming and young ladies and things like that. Some skeevy shit.
Yeah.
I did not rabbit hole this topic, but I want to acknowledge the fact that there was some controversy there. And
I looked it up this morning because I was unaware of it till you told me about it. And I was kind of wondering when we were going to get to it. And it is pretty uncomfortable stuff because he's such a beloved figure, and he's dead. He died while they were making this movie, and it kind of led to him being sort of like almost sainted.
yeah.
And yeah, he's documented as having, air quotes, dated 2 underage girls that people know about. And it's very much like they're teenage models. He met them when they were 16. And, you know, they dated, and then, you know, they become adults at some point. Like the woman that he was involved with at the time of his passing, she was, you know, in her 20s then, but they met when she was 16 and he was in his 30s.
Yeah, and
So
that sort of behavior is
yeah.
not right.
At the very least, it suggests a grooming situation.
Yeah, I would say that that would be you couldn't refute that, you know. Grooming he was 100% guilty of, but that turns out that's not a crime. It's just shitty behavior.
Yeah, it's just gross.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
I mean, yeah.
It's kind of like not kind of. It is. It's definitely a stain on the guy's legacy that people want to kind of brush away.
It's a stain on these movies, like that it has a creepo in them.
Mm-hmm. And it's, I mean, and he's so like, he's charming. He's really super charming. He's a big part of why these movies work, because I think they suffer when he leaves.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, bad behavior.
For sure. But this was a 3-star movie. What'd you say about it?
Yes, I agree. This is a 3-star movie.
It had really great action, really great stunts. The stunts were actually next level with the skydiving cars and the high-rise jumping. And Shaw really brings something. Jason Statham is amazing. And
he's almost like Jaws, right? Like where he's like this, or the Terminator. He's this thing that's pursuing them kind of relentlessly.
Oh yeah.
And he's a really great heavy. Like he's a great villain.
Yeah, I think Jason Statham does a really good, just like hard ass.
Mm-hmm. And I like James Wan as a director. He directed some horror movies and stuff, but I mainly know him from Aquaman, which Aquaman is very much in the same vein as this, where it's just over the top spectacle, ridiculousness, but fun.
Yeah. And I mean this was all right. This was a pretty decent movie. It definitely wasn't the pinnacle. Watch it if you're watching them, but I mean it's not one of those ones that's just like a high flyer.
No, I've kind of felt like it felt unnecessary after the last one to me, but it was still like enjoyable.
So, what was your favorite car?
Tej's 2015 Jeep Wrangler. It's all like, it's got like the metal plates over the windshield, like it's all armored up.
Nice.
And yeah, and like I said, I'm a Jeep Dodge guy apparently.
So I also went Mopar, and this is the movie I chose the Charger in.
Ooh, is it the off-road Charger or the regular?
Absolutely the off-road Charger.
Oh God! He says, "I want the devil offspring of this and this," and he points at the Charger and like a tank.
Yeah, I loved the off-road variant of the Charger. That was like, when I saw it on the screen, because I saw this in the theater, I was like, oh, so awesome. And so I had to choose that one myself. So here's the dumbest line, and this one was from Hobbs. It's just a stupid, shitty threat that would never... Nobody would deliver this. You better start talking, or I break that finger 6 different ways and stick it where the sun don't shine. It's like, come on, dude. You're 320 pounds of muscle. You don't have to come up with a creative way to hurt someone.
Hobbs has some... I was thinking of a different one, but it's actually in the next movie.
I mean, kind of a close one was where he goes, "Nothing is sadder than a beast locked in a cage." That one's pretty bad.
It's so bad.
I mean, this series is just prime for really bad lines.
So next up is The Fate of the Furious, 2017, directed by F. Gary Gray.
And this is not a bad title, honestly.
The Fate of the Furious?
I was tired of those Fast 5, Furious 6, Furious 7, like these dumb...
At any point, did you become aware of that Fast and Furious are Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, that Brian is fast and Dom is furious?
I mean, I thought that was clear from movie 1.
Okay, I didn't get it till they explained it in the in the special features on the DVD, and I was like, "Wait, that's supposed to be those two guys?" It's like that was just totally over my head.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of the idea behind it. You have Racer Boy and Anger Boy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a hacker / terrorist named Cypher kidnaps Elena from Fast 5. That was Dom's Brazilian girlfriend, and her and Dom's son that he was unaware of, in order to blackmail him into betraying the fam and working for her. So the fam has to team up with Mr. Nobody and former enemy Shaw to track him down.
And I mean, I really like Cypher. She's really cool.
Oh, really? We have a big disagreement there.
I mean, I thought the acting was fun. It was good. I mean, this is a plot device. None of the stuff she does is realistic. But I thought the introduction of a new villain was needed. This series, there wasn't much left to do with the remaining people. Mm-mm. Without a new villain, I wish Mr. Nobody was just not a thing. I hate that guy. He's just pointless.
I mean, you don't hate Kurt Russell.
No.
You hate knockoff Nick Fury.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so yeah, I thought this movie was all right. It was fun. I enjoyed it when I saw it in the theater, and I think it did pretty well in the box office.
Yeah, I think
had some definite star power, but it definitely was not one of the best ones.
I don't enjoy this movie.
No?
I think it's the worst one in the whole franchise.
Worse than Tokyo Drift?
Yes.
That movie was bad.
I think this is worse than Tokyo Drift and
Too Fast, Too Furious?
It's worse than Too Fast, Too Furious. To me, this is the low point of the whole franchise.
Wow.
I love Charlize Theron. I hate this character, Cypher, and her terrible hate crime of a hair job.
She comes back, divers, spoiler alert, and she's cooler when she comes back.
She is cooler the second time, and she cut the weave out and and just has...
Yeah, but the Cypher weave thing is an homage to the Matrix.
Is it? I thought it was just like, I'm a white lady in the Caribbean on vacation, and someone
She's like,
gave me twists.
I'm Adele.
Yeah. And I mean, I mentioned this in the last movie too, in my notes. Charlize Theron is just collecting a paycheck on this, because this is an Academy Award winning actress, and anyone could do this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they could have dragged out pretty much any actress who can pull off intimidating and whatnot.
I expect a lot out of her because she is such a powerhouse, and I didn't get it. Just on the upside, there's this surprise chemistry between The Rock and Jason Statham, which obviously led to them having a spin-off movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's all great. And The Rock leading the little girls soccer team in a haka before they play their opponents is one of my favorite things in the whole franchise. But overall,
wow,
I hated this movie.
I hate those moments where they include little kids to try to drag you in to be like, oh, look, this person's relatable. Be like, no, they're an idiot.
Oh, man. Predictably, you hate the kid. If there's a kid in the movie, Dave didn't like that part.
Because kids are sucky at acting.
Those little girls do a pretty good haka. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I gave this a 3. I mean, I assume you gave it a 2, or did
I gave
you give
it a 2.
1?
I gave it a 2. I didn't go to a 1 because it has its moments, but it robbed me of my interest in watching the next movie.
Oh, man. So what was your favorite car?
Raldo's 56 Ford Crown Vic from when they're in Cuba.
Interesting. I like the Cuba scenes, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are cool, but I actually had to choose the 2017 Subaru BRZ because I drive a BRZ. It was great to see that in there.
Who's driving the BRZ?
I can't remember who's in it. These all blur together at this point. It's impossible to keep it all straight. But the dumbest line is actually an exchange between Cypher and her lackey, and he goes, "There's got to be 1,000 cars down there," and she goes, "Hack them all." And he clicks 3 keystrokes, and they're all hacked.
Yeah.
I was like, seriously?
Well, and, most of our modern cars have a computer in them. Not that allows someone to take over and drive the car.
Yeah, there's no autopilot.
It
costs a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Lisa said, someone couldn't do that with our car. And it's like, no one could do that with our car. Maybe one of those cars that has the auto parking thing has enough of a brain in it that you could hack it and make it do something. But just a car with a nav in it, no, you can't make it drive around. No, everything no to Furious 8 or The Fate of the Furious, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think this movie was all right. But there were some real bad moves. Okay, so I actually did not do like
anything for Hobbs and
Shaw, dumbest line, none of that for Hobbs and Shaw, because canonically it's not considered part of the Fast and Furious saga.
That seems like some Vin Diesel propaganda.
It's not on the wiki. It's not part of the thing. It is fully a spinoff. It is not. Yeah, and definitely Vin Diesel does not like The Rock.
Yeah, so
there's beef there.
We didn't really talk about that, but during the filming of The Fate of the Furious, Vin Diesel and The Rock developed a real personality conflict with each other. Mm-hmm. And, they've both kind of have said their piece on it. I think there's a little bit of a Jason Newsted thing going on there where The Rock gets all of Vin Diesel's frustration about his buddy not being there. And Vin Diesel treated him like garbage while they were filming that movie. And The Rock is a legit movie star and an aggro alpha male. And so it just didn't work.
I wonder who has more money, The Rock or Vin Diesel?
I don't know.
That's probably
The
close.
Rock, but you got to assume Vince McMahon gets a piece of anything The Rock does.
Wrestlers don't make that much money.
No, and
like the Undertaker lives in like a nice big house in Texas, but he's not like a big baller.
No, yeah, I bet The Rock and Vin Diesel are probably
Vin Diesel. I mean, The Rock does a lot of crap movies for kids and stuff to make some easy money.
Yeah, but like I said, anything that says The Rock, WWE takes a piece of that from him.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they own The Rock. Dwayne Johnson owns himself, but if it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Vince McMahon gets a piece.
So he needs to just be Dwayne Johnson in the future movies.
It's hard though because The Rock is the selling part.
I bet if you're The Rock, if you're Dwayne Johnson and you're negotiating with a studio, you say, "Oh, okay, so you're gonna pay me what, $10 million to do this? Mm-hmm. All right, so $10 million goes to me, and you're paying an additional amount if you want to use The Rock. That's on you. That's not on me.
That you should be his agent.
I should be his agent.
Okay. Well, I did watch Hobbs and Shaw.
I mean, I watched it. I just 2019 didn't it.
David Leitch director. This is my shortest synopsis, I think. Hobbs and Shaw team up to help Shaw's sister Hattie keep an engineered virus that she injected herself with away from a cyborg terrorist named Brixton and his evil organization Aetion. That's end of synopsis.
This movie is super simplistic and it's mostly fighting.
And it's super comic book. Like, this is the one where it has gone all the way.
I like Hobbs and Shaw as a team. I think they're pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this movie was so unnecessary.
It is unnecessary. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. But I would rather watch it than 3 movies, or actually more than 3 movies. I would rather watch it than a lot of the movies in this franchise. I gave this 4 stars.
No, you really think this is a 4-star movie?
I do think this is a 4-star movie.
How is that even possible?
This movie, you know what it is? It's like a modern Tango and Cash.
That's not a 4-star movie.
Tango and Cash is a pretty good movie. Oh yeah, we got to watch Tango and Cash.
No, we're not doing an episode on Tango and Cash. Hell with that.
Kurt Russell and Stallone. That's a good 80s action movie.
Man.
I guess it's probably early 90s. I like this movie a lot.
If we're gonna plumb the depths for old action movies and stuff, we need to do Roadhouse.
Ooh, yeah, I would totally do Roadhouse. That's such a good movie.
It is.
Actually, I don't know if it's as good as I think it is, but I thought it was pretty cool when I was 13. So this was the one that I had to go and consult other reviews because, like, am I crazy? Is this a 4-star movie? And I went and I got my backup, that other people that gave it that same rating, that trusted sources. Empire Magazine, that's my go-to. If I want to check and make sure my barometer isn't broken, I go to Empire Magazine, and they also gave it 4 stars. So I got my permission.
No, this is a 3-star movie. 100%.
Okay, that's fine. You can be wrong about this one.
Oh, okay. All right, so Hobbs and Shaw done. Now,
hold on.
Okay.
I have a favorite car.
Oh, do you?
You don't have a favorite car.
What is it?
It's the 35 Ford truck Rat Rod that Shaw drives at the end.
That is pretty cool.
It's sick. And since you don't have one, I'll pick one for you. And it is Brixton's modified Triumph Speed Triple.
Oh,
his smart bike that comes to him like a horse.
Man, I've wanted a Speed Triple for a long time.
Yeah, those are really cool bikes.
Okay, so the last one, and we went and actually saw this in a physical theater. Mm-hmm. This is the first movie I've seen in a theater in a long time.
Yeah.
Because I will admit it, I much prefer watching movies at my house. I really don't like the theater. I think the theater is actually a downgrade to my experience. I don't like the people. I don't like the seats. I don't like the price.
So I saw it twice in the theater, and I had 2 very distinct experiences because I saw it the opening night on IMAX in a much more modernly furnished theater, and then you and I saw it again the next night at a discount theater at a formerly luxury theater.
It used to be a posh theater, but it's just gone to pot.
Yeah, at a luxury theater that has gone into disrepair, and the AC wasn't really on, so it was muggy, and we had people talking around us.
There's this big old group behind us that just kept chatting, and then the guy in front of us kept checking his phone.
Yeah, and so I mean that's the human element, and that's what you don't have when you watch it at home. So I'll give you that, but watching it in the IMAX in a socially distanced theater, I had a good experience. So I had a good and a mediocre theater experience with watching this.
If I can avoid it, I will always not go to the theater. I just think it's a vestige. I wish most theaters would close, and the only ones that would be open would be the super high end, ultra luxe, super expensive ones, and then also the garbage flea market theaters for the plebs, because I don't like to be around other people. And if you say, okay, this movie ticket is $25 or $30, most people are like, fuck that. But if I get to be in like a super luxe, awesome place or whatever, I'll do it. Not a big deal.
I'm kind of happy to pay $20.
I just wanted to weed people out. It's like a pyramid. The higher the price, the less riffraff show up. And I'm not calling everyone who can't afford a movie riffraff, but your children are riffraff. Straight up. Nobody's paying $25 for their 6 little spawnlings to go to a movie.
Yeah, you heard it here. Not for the first time. Dave hates kids.
I don't hate all kids.
Not all kids. Hashtag. Okay, so F9 : The Fast Saga, 2021. Director Justin Lin. Dom and Letty's rural retirement is interrupted when Dom's estranged brother Jacob hijacks Mr. Nobody's plane to abduct Cypher and steal a super weapon MacGuffin. So it's all around the world and into outer space to stop said weapon from being activated. Oh, and Han is alive.
Yeah, this movie was 10 pounds of bullshit in a 5-pound hat. I mean, and I say that because it was fun as hell. Like, I enjoyed the whole bringing in John Cena as Jacob Toretto. And I actually hope Jacob Toretto is in future Fast movies because he lives through this one.
Yeah.
And I think that it was, and they have kind of a pseudo makeup near the end. Not really a makeup.
Yeah, sort of like
a grudging piece.
An understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought that this movie was fun. I liked that Cypher came back and she was cooler this time. I like how they made the rich dictator's son a complete and utter buffoon. He was a buffoon villain. At first I thought he was going to be like a Baron Zemo, but then I was like, oh no, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah. I like this more than 8. And I'm happy. I think Justin Lin is a good director, and I like the way he shoots a movie. But I don't think we're at the height of the 4, 5, 6, which is like the peak of the series. I think we're still kind of like aspiring to get back to that.
I mean, this movie is no Fast 5.
No.
It's definitely no Fast 5. It's pretty fun. I mean, they always have to do some crazy shit to top the last one. And this time they send Ludacris and Tyrese to space. And that was fun. And I don't remember the actor's name, but he plays in Warrior, Young June.
Oh, yeah. Jason Tobin.
Oh, man, he's so good in everything he does. He's hilarious as a comedic actor. He's great as an action actor.
He was in Tokyo Drift.
Yeah,
He's barely in this too.
That's true.
I do. So yeah. So let's just do like what worked. I like that. I like that they brought the guys from Tokyo Drift. We get Little Bow Wow as Twinkie, or just like he doesn't in real life, he doesn't like to be called Little Bow Wow anymore. In his character, does not want to be called Twinkie anymore.
I don't go by that anymore. And someone goes, anymore?
You went by that ever? Yeah, but we got Sean and Twinkie and whoever Jason Tobin plays.
Yeah,
I don't remember that character's name. They come back and it kind of like pulls Tokyo Drift. It makes it matter more. And I like all the flashback scenes. Like there's all these flashback scenes with young Dom on the racetrack
and young Jacob,
and they look like they're shot on film. Like they have this sort of grainy quality to them, so you can tell it's the past.
And it almost feels like the audio is done such that they did a voice synthesis between the young actor and the older person playing it.
You think?
Like if you watch the young Dom, there's definitely Vin Diesel
He does some great he does some body language stuff that's very Vin Diesel. Like he does the arm spread thing at one point, and like he does a few moves. Like you can tell he did his homework. He really studied Vin Diesel.
He's probably a fan.
Yeah,
I mean they were good. The flashbacks were cool. I liked the origin of why is Dom this chip on his shoulder, angry racer boy because he was the son of a track racer that died on the track, etc.
Yeah, and we've always heard about that he went to jail for beating this guy nearly to death with a wrench.
The guy who killed his dad, who really didn't kill his dad, he sort of
we get all
part of it.
I feel like for those things, like these are the way it fleshes out some of the backstory is the reasons why I enjoy this movie.
So what did you rate this movie?
It's a 3.
Yeah, I rated it a 3 as well.
Yeah.
And it was better than some of the other 3s. And if we were doing fractional, it would have been higher, but no.
Yeah.
It's not a 4.
This is a series that would have been all lost in fractional ratings.
Yeah,
like
it would have been between like 3.25 and 3.75, like most of them. So this is a way better system.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite car in this movie?
My favorite car in this movie, I didn't actually put it on the thing. It's it's a 68 Charger with a mid-engine.
Oh, that was so cool. That has a bunch of Lamborghini underpinnings in it, actually. I was reading about that online.
Yeah, that car is a monster. And it's got this sort of like...
It's got a wide body kit on it.
Yeah, they widened out the back fenders, so it's got kind of it's bottom heavy. It's a big, thick girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a sexy car.
So
I like that a lot.
I really liked that car, but so I was gonna say Space Fiero just for the fun of it, but actually I gotta say I give it to the 2020 Jeep Gladiator.
Oh, that was my runner-up.
I love that truck. It's so cool.
And you said like Dave leaned over to me in the theater and goes, "That Gladiator's sick." And I thought that same thing like my first watch through, because that you see that car early in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's my favorite car in this movie. Like I called it out until the mid-engine challenge or Charger came out, and I was like,
yeah, that Charger was probably my number 2. But I like the Gladiator because that's like a real car that you can get. That Charger that's not a real car.
No, it's is a $1 million car.
I mean, it's not a car you can buy, really. I mean, you can't be like, I'm on the hunt for a mid-engine.
No, you have to make it, and it cost $1 million to make it.
Yeah, but if you wanted to buy a cool Gladiator, you could just go do it today.
And the roof-mounted spare, that looks cool. Everything about it looks cool.
Yeah, that was a cool. I would have got a different color. I'm not super into silver, but that was fine.
Was it silver or white?
I think it was just the sparkling silver, not the. I would have either gone gunmetal. Even white would have been better, actually. But anyway, so that was my car choice. I thought that this movie was fun. It was okay. We disagree on the best movie, but we're close.
Yeah, and so there's a YouTube channel I watch called Accented Cinema, and it's a guy. He's a Chinese guy living in North America. I think he's a film student in Canada.
Okay.
And something he talks about movies. You have to believe your own fantasy in order. You can't be constantly like undercutting yourself, like kind of pointing out how ridiculous everything is.
Yeah.
And I think this movie did that too much. Tyrese does that at several points.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like stops and looks at the camera and is like, "Isn't this shit crazy?"
He definitely pulls a Deadpool in this.
Yeah. It's too much. And I think that's sort of what keeps this movie from being one of the better movies.
The whole magnet shtick wasn't that cool to me. I thought that was pretty lame, but whatever. So overall, just on the whole series, what worked for you and what are your personal highlights?
Oh, what worked for me and what... Okay, so what works for me in the whole series is the chemistry between the team.
Okay.
Initially, just between Dom and Brian and Letty, but it expands to be this big, familia.
It's a family.
Yeah, it expands, and I love the way everyone plays with each other. Like, every two characters has a unique relationship with each other.
Yeah, that's
and I
true.
think that's a really cool thing. There's a reason why these movies are so popular. And I think the second trilogy, that middle 4, 5, 6, those movies are so strong. And I think that just normal people could really enjoy those movies.
Yeah, those are movies for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And so that really works for me. That kind of the middle of the franchise works really well for me.
All right. Well, I had similar thoughts. First of all, I call out the ensemble cast with the excellent acting, but also the way that they're written in order to have these interesting relationships, and it develops over time. I like that. It feels like there is some real character development. I do like that they drink their own Kool-Aid for most of the series. I feel like they totally embrace the over-the-top nonsense, and they stay in their paradigm. They stay within their lane.
Yeah.
It's not nobody says you can't do that with a car. Like, they just do it.
Well, they did. Brian says cars can't fly. Like, there's a couple of times.
And I think ultimately that is important. It makes these cohesive. They're very clearly a fantasy movie. They're not.
Yeah.
These are not meant to be realistic fiction. And I think the other part of it is, I would say that they always have extremely cool cars of all different varieties. It's really well thought out. It's very intentional. They even throw in some gimmick cars like the flip car and the wide body Charger, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I like that they throw in those weird exotics that aren't real, not like street cars. But then every movie has a relatable street car that you could go buy.
That's true. Yeah.
And I like that. It's really cool. And I think that's very intentional. That's where the car companies are trying to sell cars.
Yeah.
And I think that this is how you sell cars if you want to do it in media. So that's what worked for me. So what didn't work for you in this franchise as a whole?
As a whole, what didn't work for me? I think the first half of the franchise is sort of wildly sexist. That gets better. So I don't really want to say that as a whole. The sameness of everything, that was a hard thing for me. I thought I knew what I was getting into because I've watched all of the Marvel movies in a row, and I've watched all the X-Men movies. I've watched big runs of Godzilla movies. I've watched all the Universal Studios monster movies.
Yeah, you're a series guy.
I love to binge a series. This was a tough series to binge through because it gets so predictable and so by the numbers. It's much more like binging monster movies than it is like binging Marvel movies, where it's here's the part where Godzilla comes out of the ocean. Here's the part where he's down and has to make a comeback. And here's the part where he goes back into the ocean.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They just follow this same formula over and over. So that made some of the weaker movies tougher to sit through.
So my critiques are actually amazingly similar. I basically said that this franchise is way too much to do all together, specifically because they're too similar.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like you can eat a different flavor of ramen every day, but it's all ramen.
Right.
And it's just like, this was too much of the same. It was definitely not like watching other series where they kind of change and it's a different type of movie or whatnot. But this was a bit too much. I thought that one at a time, they're really fun. But honestly, after Too Fast, Too Furious, I was like, ugh. And then Tokyo Drift, I was like, double ugh. I don't want to continue this. I really don't want to finish these movies. And the thing is 4, 5, 6 is the best of the series. And so I'm glad that that happened. And I actually enjoyed 9, because it was cool hanging out and it was cool seeing a movie. But that's my biggest complaint about the series as a whole is that it's a whole lot of retread. There's not a lot of original content here, and that's a bit of a it's a bit of a bummer. I could say the same things about the whole early on one-dimensional sexism. There's lots of this toxic alpha male patriarchy nonsense.
That gets better too. Like
it does.
A lot of this, like the surface complaints get better as the series goes on,
and that's really what you want, right?
Yeah.
Like when something is not right, you want them to make it right, and they do. So I'm not gonna hold that as like a sword over them.
Right.
I'm just gonna say that the sword I would hold over them is stop making the same movie.
Yeah. No, I think we're kind of... So they're going to make 2 more movies, or at least Justin Lin is planning on making 2 more movies.
Okay.
And we had a stinger at the end of the last one where Han goes to confront Shaw.
Yeah.
So I am interested to see where that goes, right? Because I want to...
He tried to murder him.
Hashtag justice for Han. We want Han to get his justice. And Shaw has had this redemption arc that I like, and I want that to stick. So I do want to see... I want to see them reconcile somehow. However you can reconcile with someone that tried to murder you.
And we want to see what happens with Jacob Toretto.
I could pass on Jacob Toretto. I'd rather have Luke Hobbs come back than see a second Jacob Toretto.
I 100% do not want another farm life Dom scene ever. That was
that
lame.
the same farm that Hawkeye goes to in the Avengers?
I bet it is the same set.
Yeah, those people just rent their farm out. They're like, we're in a ton of movies.
they're close into LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I think that pretty much that's a wrap on the Fast and the Furious, right?
Which one did you say was your favorite? 5 was your favorite? Okay.
Fast 5.
You're 5, I'm 6, but in general 4, 5, 6 are the gems.
For sure. Those are the best ones. All right, so let's go ahead and take a break. We will come back and we will wrap this up.
All right, welcome back, divers. It's time for that final segment, the one where I ask Dave, what are you into right now?
All right, so I'm going to do an album review.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is not a super common one. Normally, this is Dave's what are you streaming right now?
Uh-huh.
So I'm actually going to do an album review.
Okay.
So a new album from an old band came out, and it is Fear Factory, Aggression Continuum. So there's been a lot of issues surrounding this band. There was a huge legal dispute over who got to use the name.
Right.
2 former members, the drummer and bass player and also hybrid guitar player, they were trying to get the use of the name away from the singer and guitar player. Ultimately, Dino and Burton won. The drummer or the guitar player and singer, the founding members, the 2 guys who were roommates in LA back in the day.
I mean, if I think of Fear Factory, those are the 2 guys.
Yeah, they really are the 2 guys. And so ultimately, Dino bought Burton's stake in the name, and they recorded this in 2017, the guitars and the vocals and all of that, and since 2017 Burton has actually quit the band. And Dino ran a crowdfunding campaign in order to get money to actually pay for studio time to have live drums recorded and have it properly mixed and mastered by, like a professional, rather than just using the electronic drums that he had programmed for the recording sections, and then mixing it himself. And Burton criticized him and said that this was it was a money grab, etc. But ultimately, the album came out, and it did have a live drummer who is now the permanent drummer in the band. The permanent bass player is Tony Campos, who's been in like half a dozen bands, originally in Static X, I believe.
Okay,
but he's a good bass player.
Okay, that's a really familiar name.
Yeah,
for that reason, right? He's a bit of a hired gun.
Yeah, and so he's Dino has a couple of really good musicians with him in this band. And,
who's the drummer?
Man, I can't remember his name, honestly. He's really great though, because this is the last that we will ever hear of the Dino plus Burton era. This is kind of the swan song.
Okay, so that was what I was going to ask you next. Who did the vocals? So Burton C. Bell recorded vocals.
He recorded and then quit. And so this is the end. This is the end of an era. And I have been a fan of Fear Factory since listening to Demanufacture in our old buddy Brian's apartment.
Yeah, I mean, and just for a little bit of backstory there, this band probably had an outsized impact in our personal circle. Like,
yeah, for sure.
People in our little clique really enjoyed this band.
Yeah, and this is it was the beginning of a style. Dino Burton, and at the time the drummer Raymond Herrera, they were doing this cyber metal thing that nobody was doing. It wasn't full on metal, but it also wasn't totally industrial. It was liked by both groups of fans. And so their live shows were always like really packed because they drew on multiple genres of fans. It was pretty cool. And this album, noticeably, it uses 8-string guitars, which Dino is sponsored by Ormsby Guitars, which is a really high-end kind of boutique-y manufacturer in Australia. And he left Ibanez. And the original Fear Factory material was done all on 7-string Ibanez guitars.
It was Mike Heller as the drummer.
Mike Heller, okay.
I looked that up.
That name rings the bell. He does a fantastic job on this album. So I guess my review is that this album is not groundbreaking, but it's a celebration of a sound that this band created in the 90s. It's really, really good if you're into Fear Factory, if you're into that cyber metal sound that they pioneered. And there have been many bands that have lifted elements from them.
Like Static X, like you mentioned just a second ago.
For sure. And so I don't think this album will convert a bunch of new fans. And I don't think that that's the goal of retro acts in general. I do think that this was really good for a fan. Specifically me. I really liked it, and I've read a lot of reviews. I've watched several YouTube reviews, and most people really like it. Even kind of younger dudes who are reviewing this in their 20s and whatnot. I say dudes because that's the only people I've watched reviews from. And I think that this is a really great album. So it's interesting because this is the end of a chapter. Dino is going forward. There will be more Fear Factory material. He's actually in a better position now than he's ever been. He owns all of it. All legal things are dismissed. This album is very successful in its launch, so there's money to record a new one, and they're doing a vocalist search. And Dino has said he doesn't want to get some big name from another band. He wants to bring someone up who's new, someone with an original sound, or maybe not an original sound, but someone this is gonna be their passion, their thing. And so he's looking. He said he's not limiting it to just male vocalists. He's listening to anybody who's submitting, and he's gonna be putting out new albums. This was recorded in 2017, which meant it was written in a year or two before that. He's been writing ever since. He has over an album worth of material already digitally recorded. So I'm excited to hear the new Fear Factory material. The vocalist is going to make or break it. We know Dino can do a good job at his thing. He is his own genre.
He's always been kind of the driver of the personality problems in this band, though.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick. I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
I mean, I only remember seeing this band once. We might have seen them more times, but the one that sticks out was it was an outdoor festival show, and he bashed a security guard in the head with a mic stand, which I think the guy had it coming, so it was pretty funny, but it is not a professional thing to do.
No, that's not the sort of thing you want to be doing. Yeah, I remember that show, and that was actually really good. It was super hot. Mm-hmm. I also saw them again at the Roseland at some point.
Yeah, and I might have been there for that. I don't know.
And they just killed it. But that one was actually with Christian on guitar, not Dino.
Not Dino? Okay, I was not there for that.
And Christian is a really good bass player and guitar player, but he plays in some really bad rap metal band right now. It's like East LA street rap metal. I don't even know what they're going for. It's not good.
Okay.
I don't like it, and it's sad because he's super good. I say sad. If he's enjoying it, cool. Yeah. It's just not for me.
Not your thing. Yeah.
But anyway, so this album, if I was going to give it a rating, I think realistically, it's probably a 3-star album. But for me, it's a 4-star album because I love this band. And so I think people who are into that 90s metal sound will probably really like this.
I think with these older, it's weird to call 90s band older, but whatever, they're 20 years old. Yeah. You just want them to not embarrass themselves, right? Like you want them to do something that's new enough to keep your attention, but familiar enough that it gives you the feels that the old albums did.
And you say you want them to do something and not embarrass themselves. Burton has a new band called Ascension of the Ancients. It's actually an old band because he's put out one album previously under this moniker, but he's rekindled it with new people. It's not good. It's kind of like dad rock.
Oh.
It's not awesome. And it's sad because I'm a big Burton fan, right?
He's a great vocalist.
He's an awesome vocalist. And he that ain't it.
So you say dad rock. Are we talking like Foo Fighters?
I think they would like a comparison to Foo Fighters, but they're not nearly as good.
That tells me all I need to know.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more trippy, psychedelic, a little more moodish, mellow vibes than Straight Ahead that. But yeah, it's just not good. Anyway, so yeah, go ahead and check out Fear Factory Aggression Continuum. It's everywhere music is. It's a major release. I got it on my YouTube Music subscription. And it was super good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. So I'll check that out.
Yeah. So what are you into right now?
So what am I into right now is an anime series that I have been eagerly anticipating since March.
Oh, wow.
And it is Godzilla Singular Point. It's animated it's a collaboration between Bones and Orange Studios, directed by Atsushi Takahashi and written by To Injo. And it dropped in Japan in March and kind of lit up the fandom. But we didn't get it onto American Netflix until June. So I have contended with spoilers and all sorts of things over the last several months.
Yeah. # sad.
I know, but it's finally here. And, it's a tough one to recommend. Not because it isn't good, but because it's super wonky sci-fi. It's all about theoretical physics and alternate realities. And the writer To Injo is sort of known for writing impenetrable sci-fi. And it's very impenetrable. You have to be ready to get exposited with 5 episodes of theoretical physics before you get to the monster action.
Wow.
Not that there is monsters and there is robots in those early episodes, but Godzilla doesn't show up to the middle of the season.
But is there drifting?
There's no Tokyo drifting.
Well, no, I was talking about Pacific Rim drifting. Oh man, can you drift a Godzilla around a corner?
There is a robot that someone pilots, and then eventually, spoiler, it gets an AI and starts becoming conscious itself. And it does. At some point, it has wheels instead of legs, and it does kind of drift. So there's a double drift that happens there.
Oh man, we have mecha drift.
Yeah. And there's all these great. They got Eiji Yamamori from Studio Ghibli to redesign all the monsters, and just really cool, more anatomically feasible monsters than Guy in Suit monsters.
Oh, okay.
And it's visually like a really, really stunning series, but it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of heavy science to get to the smash 'em up parts.
So where can you find this?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Netflix's second Godzilla anime series, and it's the more interesting of the two.
It feels like Netflix is leaning into anime.
Yeah, that's a big driver for them, anime people. So yeah,
Sure.
They definitely are. So I recommend this, but it's definitely not going to be for everyone. Like, I was trying to get Lisa to lock in with some of the weird science, because like talking about like perceptions beyond 3 dimensions and stuff, and she was like, "Nope, don't care." I'm not gonna do the work to understand this.
It might as well be boom tubes and mother boxes.
There's nothing realistic about boom tubes and mother boxes.
I know, but it might as well be, because I'm not really giving a shit about either.
Yeah, totally. But for the right person, this is a really interesting series. And if nothing else, it's cool toys we get to buy.
Oh, do you even have more room in your house for more toys?
Technically, no. You could always rearrange things.
That's true. You could get rid of some old ones that, and make room for new ones.
I know stuff's happening again, so maybe I'll get a table at the local toy show again and sell some stuff.
I would support that. I definitely would like to go to one of those little swap meets. I love nerdy swap meets. Like, there's always like crafty geek swap things and all this fun stuff. I love going to those.
I always, when I go to the toy shows, it's like, and I see these people like that are like, it's a guy in his 40s with a beard and like a black band t-shirt, and he's got a lot of tattoos, and I go,
It's
like,
you.
and I was like, there's like a lot of me here. Like, this is a lot of like, there's not a lot of me in the world, but there's a lot of me here in this room.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
there's like 12 of me.
Yeah, I don't have the beard, the glasses, or the toys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of yous there.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, hey. So, you want to give them the call to action?
Yeah, let's go ahead and subscribe to us in your favorite podcatcher and rate us generously. A 5-star review costs you nothing, but it means everything to us. And I also want to shout out YouTube. Every episode is on YouTube.
Smash that subscribe button. Is that what they say?
Ring the bell.
And ring the bell.
Ring
so you get
the bell,
notifications.
guys. Because, I mean, we're there. Everyone has a YouTube account. Give it a go. I mean, everybody YouTubes. So check us out.
Some
there.
people really prefer YouTube for podcasts. It's like, I don't quite get it, but if that's your thing, we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're on all social media platforms across the metaverse as Deep Dive the Meta. We are on Twitter, which is Dave's preferred. We are on Instagram, which I like, but we're also on Pinterest, which no one likes.
Well, I guess this is really goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.